Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesse here, joining me with Pirate again for another MRC video. This time we've got something a little bit different again, but we've done one video like this before. But go ahead, Pirate, say hi.
Hey, good evening, morning, wherever it is where you are.
Yeah, you might notice we have text on screen. We all know that nobody in the MRC reads. So to circumvent this issue, we're just going to tell you about it instead. That way you don't have an excuse that you didn't read.
So this would be great listening for, your daily commute to your local game store to go pick up more mechs.
Definitely. Speaking of which, I could probably use a few more mechs. I'm down to double digits after I was at triple digits.
Absolutely. I know I just went to Iron Wind not too long ago to pick up NashCon stuff, so I feel the pressure to paint, and now I'm running out of things to paint. So, I need to go build another pile of shame here in a minute.
Yeah, no, my pile of shame is very, very large currently. I took a bunch of mechs out for NashCon, so it did drop the pile of shame a little bit, and then Father's Day came around and the pile of shame grew a little bit more, so I'm almost back to pre-NashCon numbers already.
Did you get your copy of the target box yet?
Speaking of which, I actually got more than one. Hang on, let me see if I can grab them.
Okay, Carbon and all the Vindicators. Hey!
Here's my target bag with 3 of them. One of them is mine, for sure, because I want that Centurion.
Yeah, definitely one of those that I feel the need to get it just for the maps, if not even the models.
Oh yeah, I love the maps. I have one of each of the boxes and one of each of the paper map packs. Those are probably my favorite things to physically have besides the mechs themselves.
Oh yeah, but that's all in person. But I'm excited because we've got Mega Mech coming up soon.
That's right, and this is a tournament that you're running this time around, so I don't think you'll be participating in it, maybe for tiebreakers or something like that. But why don't you go ahead and tell us about your tournament that you're going to be running for next month, the month of July.
So I wanted to run a narrative event rather, not even a tournament, because we've done Twilight Heat, we've done a lot of ranked games, we did some real competitive territory challenges earlier this year. March Mechanist was a lot of fun, and I went, I think I can do this. I'm gonna put my hat in the ring here. We just got done with 2 Kid Heat, which was a blast, and we're wrapping up Solaris Summer. So I was like, you know what? There's a lot of tournaments and a lot of player-on-player action. Let's do a narrative event. So I've got up here Operation Klondike, which was not the original event I was going to run. I had this whole thing that I've been building for weeks and weeks, and then had a wild hair, and overnight just went, I'm going to write this whole new event, Operation Klondike.
It's like, you're like, I'm almost there. I've almost got this beautiful thing created. Let me sidetrack and make something completely different at the last minute.
Oh, exactly. So, there's a few things that I still want to explore that I haven't explored yet. And one of those was the early clans. Nobody's, playing the early homeworld clans. In fact, for most players, I'm sure before Clan Invasion, clans didn't exist in any continuum that they care about.
Yeah, Succession Wars were clanless, and a lot of people played without clans for a long time, which is why we have the old 3025 grognards who refuse to advance the storyline. But to each their own.
To each their own, and they're still out there playing BattleTech. And I love that you can dip the eras. You can go, you know what? I don't need to play Early Republic now. Or Dark Age, if anyone actually does, which we'll be getting to very soon in the NFL season. But I wanted to go the opposite direction on the other side of 3025 because I love clan mongoose. They're annoying, they're conniving, they're little S's. But I was like, I just like them, I like the lore behind them, what little there is, making targeting computers, making some of the first EC mechs. Being the reason blood names are, a thing, mainly because they got assassinated. But there's also some lore in that early era that we kind of gloss over. So I wanted to bring us back pull us away from some of the newer stuff we were doing into a simpler time when everybody was desperate and just trying to figure stuff out.
Gotcha. And Operation Klondike is one of those early clan events. It's like the first true combat that the clans see, if I remember correctly.
Correct. So to set the stage, Alexander Kerensky, he takes the SLDF that volunteered to go with him out into the periphery, and they settle in the Pentagon worlds. But infighting happens, order breaks down, and they go on a second exodus and eventually reach Strana Mekti, which I think means like Field of Dreams or something in Russian, but it has the word Mekti in there, so it's definitely a pun of some sort.
Strong mech? I don't know. That's what I always assumed it meant something to do with mechs.
Yeah, I gotta look it up again, but the intent was that they go there, they become the clans officially, they rebuild, and is kind of a communal binding to reassure everyone that. So, they want to go prove the superiority of the clan way of life and demonstrate that they actually did the right thing. So they go retake the Pentagon worlds. And this is simulating the build up to that, where all 20 clans are preparing for the invasion, liberation, better phrase, from this perspective, of the Pentagon worlds. So, getting ready, all the mech warriors getting their trials position in, building resources, and forming their stars. That's kind of where I wanted to go with this event. Is more of a narrative team building event, not really focused on individuals winning. This is more of like, trivia night at the local restaurant, which table is going to win. It's probably a good way to phrase how I wanted to go with that.
Gotcha. I like that it's not about, combat score and recording ranked games and whoever, kills the most mechs or does the objectives the best is the outright winner. There's more to it than that. Like the honor system that you have in place, if you want to elaborate on that a bit. Absolutely.
So I wanted to take a cue from some of the other events I've been to with BTCC. I saw did some of this. Southern Assault did it quite heavily. So Southern Assault and can't call it Northern Assault anymore. That's already been taken. But Motor City Mayhem, which is also already taken by another group, but for me it's Motor City Mayhem. Combat was only a portion of the actual score for the event. So, some of us, we went to those events and we're like, I really want to get the combat score. Like, I want to win Best General. But the overall event had a bigger focus on sportsmanship, painting, and just generally community building. And I really liked that. So I wanted to take some of that and bring it to an MRC style event where combat score is still important and there's still objectives to be won because it is a war game, but also to try to encourage a really wide field of play, especially since most of the mechs in this era, none of us have even heard of or seen these variants. So I wanted to make it fun and safe to explore in with a very low pressure on actually winning as much as just playing the game.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see some of these early clan mechs and see how they perform. Like, just looking at the list, like you see stuff like the Night Chanter and the Spirit Walker, which are Omni versions of existing old SLTF mechs like the Crab and the Black Knight, which you never get to see outside of this era.
Absolutely. So, there's even one that I found called the Pulverizer. I was like, I've never even heard of this thing. But yeah, Night Chanter just sounds amazing,
Oh yeah, the clans definitely had the right track when it came to naming conventions right there.
Yep. So the way this will work is we're still going to send scores to MRC for combat tracking. So in order to play, you do need to register with the MRC. That way we can have games for everyone count on their combat tracking, and you can see your progress over time with the MRC. So if you're not already signed up, it's worth going and signing up. It's very easy to do, and it gives you a way to, kind of see your progression over time of, hey, I got a lot of good games in, and my score's gone up a lot. Or, oh man, I only got 2 games in the last month, and I was just having fun. Oops, I took all Herbies and got crushed. Score went down a little, but you know, that's all cool. It's all part of just seeing your progress.
Oh yeah, I mean, who cares? It's just an imaginary number. If it goes down, if it costs you score to have fun and play a full Irby Lance, by all means, it's well worth the investment. You can always remake those points later. I mean, they come from nothing anyway.
I mean, yeah, the last list I took was 6 pilots in Clan Assault X, thinking, I think this will work, but this is going to be funny, and it paid off. So, you know, it was great, but at the same time, I was fully expecting to lose some points, but, you know, that's okay. They're just imaginary internet points, and no one's going to, you know, say like, haha, I'm number 17 out of, 400. Realistically, it's just cool to see everybody bob up and down, and I cheer for the people when they go up.
Oh yeah, it's just more for your own enjoyment and benefit. And I mean, the best part is that MRC High Command handles all the score tracking, so you guys don't have to do anything except submit your ranked games, which we will be doing a lot of in the first week of this event.
Absolutely. So the way we're going to score it is we still have in the background MRC scoring is going to take place with combats and objectives, but the actual event itself is going to be run on what we'll call the honor point system. So clans are fighting for honor. You know, the more difficult you can make it for yourself, the more honorable it is. And the more you can just obliterate your opponent, the more honorable that is. And fighting to the death, or at least not being wasteful and ejecting after you're crippled, or not just annihilating the enemy, but capturing them, taking them, as bondsmen, as part of the whole system. So the general theme of this is, rather than combat score, you'll get a flat set of points for every mech you kill. 2, you'll get a flat set of points for every mech you cripple in a match. 1. And then you get a bonus for the type of list that you bring. So right there in pink, I tried to put pink in everything that was a little different and weird.
There we go.
Yep. But so in this, when you submit a list, you'll get points based on how much more you kind of intrinsically make it harder for you. So growing up with MechWarrior 2, amazing video game for its time. Just tried to play it recently. It did not age well, but it was really fun at the time. And I remember, starting out. I actually went out of order and did Mercenaries first, then went back to 31st Century Combat and Ghost Bear's Legacy. But I remember the Trials of Position. Like, one of the first things you do is you get your mech. I think you got 2 star mates, and then you did 3-on-3. You finish that mini star, you go on to the next 3. You finish that mini star, you go on to the next 3. If I remember right, they're all in the same weight class too, and that kind of stuck with me. Like, medium mechs should face medium mechs, assault mechs should face assault mechs, and so on. So for this event, if you voluntarily choose to take a lighter bid, if you bid 3 light mechs instead of 3 assault mechs, I wanted to reward that in a similar fashion.
Yeah, I'm gonna be taking 3 light mechs for all the honor ever, because to do anything less is dishonorable.
Exactly. So if you take 3 assault mechs, it's like, well, back it up. If you just take random mechs, like, hey, I'm gonna min-max. I'm gonna take, a stone rhino and a thorn with a crappy pilot and maybe a sentinel because that's cheap as nails. I don't think I'm really gonna see any clanners playing that kind of weird wobbly list outside of like, the smoke jaguars getting annihilated and that's all they can field kind of situations. So if you take a goofy list like that, we're going to deduct 1 honor point for each of the 4 matches, because I didn't want to just flat out ban it, because some people are going to want to play lists like that. But it's like, man, you're doing some cheese there. That's my cheese building points right there.
Yeah, and for reference, the honor isn't just for you; it's for your whole invasion corridor / team.
Correct. So the way we'll balance this out is, at the end of each week, the scores for the invasion group are going to be averaged, and those invasion groups are going to be based on whoever signs up for the event. They're going to declare for a certain clan, and that clan is going to go in with one of the canonically historical, even though the event hasn't happened for another 800 years, invasion groups.
Just a minor detail,
Minor detail. But so say you got two Sea Fox players and a Hellion. Well, those three will be put into the Babylon invasion group because they went after the planet of Babylon. And then at the end of the week, their scores will be average. So if you got somebody who's like, hey, I did amazing, I got 17 points this week. You got another player who's like, man, I showed up, I got my butt kicked, I got 2 points. All right, well, that's 19. Other guy, for math, just call him 11. So you got 30 points. All right, it averages to 10. So then for the event, that invasion group got 10 points that week. So we're going to average those scores so that it's not focused on the individual, because we're focused on the entire clan or the entire invasion group. We're going to average it together because it's more of a community event.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'll be by myself in the Dagda invasion corridor with my Clan Goliath Scorpion list. Well, everybody else is in either Ghost Bear, Sea Fox, or Wolf, or Adder, or Jade Falcon.
You'll be surprised. I mean, there's definitely some early fanboys going after one list or another. But then there's also people going, man, I want to go Steel Viper. And I'm like, that's great, because I ain't seen a single Steel Viper player ever. So.
Hey, Steel Vipers aren't bad. I mean, I'd rather play Steel Viper than Clan Wolf or Ghost Bear or Jade Falcon.
Oh, it's not about being bad. It's just about being less represented in the lore. So, like I said, I'm Mongoose. I never get to play the star I built of Mongoose mechs, because every time I show up, it's like, oh, we're going to play, some group that's way after they've been absorbed and, forgotten about. Or, okay, we'll play Succession Wars. Yeah, but we're not going to play Clanner stuff. That's new stuff. We don't do the new stuff. Like, okay, that was new like 25 years ago. But, okay, cool. It's still new for you. Gotcha.
Yeah, the old Grognard mentality is hard to break. But it is what it is. No biggie.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you've still got some of those invasion groups are more geared towards some of the more represented or aggressive clans, but at the same time, so many people are like, hey, I want to try this out, or my favorite clan is this. Everyone has a favorite clan, even if they're an Intersphere player, don't deny it. And I want to make sure everybody gets the chance to play any of the 20 that they want.
This is probably the only event that will let anybody play any of the 20, because I think Wolverine goes bye-bye shortly after Operation Klondike. So,
correct. Mongoose had nothing to do with that.
Right, exactly. And then I think Widowmaker's next, and then there's a bunch that get abjured or annihilated or whatever over the next, 100 years, 100 or 200 years.
Yeah, Mongoose followed by, I think Brock might be the next one on the chopping block.
Yeah, and then Ice Hellion eventually gets absorbed by Goliath Scorpion.
So, but the way list building will work is if you take a goofy list, I'm going to ding you for a point. If you take all assaults, cool, neutral. But if you take heavies, just 3 heavy mechs, okay, that's great. You'll get +1 honor point immediately at the start of each game. Like, that's worth a cripple of a mech. Taking 3 mediums, hey, you're underbidding. That is more honorable to underbid. It also means you take more skilled pilots, but if you've got better skilled pilots, you should beat the heavier stuff. So give you 2 points, and for you insane people, if you take 3 light mechs with ace pilots, you'll start out with +3 honor points at the start of the match. And there is no way to lose points outside of taking an ad hoc list. So, the floor is already there at 0. These are just bonuses, and then as you play, you're going to get more points. So it's just increasing your points there.
Yeah, that means I get a minimum of 3 points each week. That's right.
Absolutely. So
No.
there's also something we're going to do different called salvaging. So salvaging in a competitive format is definitely a struggle, but since this isn't a straight up brawl or tournament with brackets, it's a narrative event, and everything's going to be averaged out. We'll get to some of the salvaging, which I think is a little further up there. Hey, there you go. So,
Aha.
so the way salvaging will work is in the 3 mechs as everyone picks for their initial list for weeks 2, 3, and 4. I'll get to 1, don't worry. But the initial list of 3 mechs that they pick, one of the mechs is going to be what I'll call a salvageable mech, and it's in the homeworld general list between a certain BV, which is pretty wide. And the point of that is, at the end of a match, when you've played somebody, you salvage one of their mechs. And since it's on the Homeworld General list, it's available to your faction since all 20 clans have access to the Homeworld General list. So say you take 3 light mechs because you're another, and then you fight somebody who's all clan mechs. Well, guess what? That clan player just had a Thug 10E with, 2 ERPPCs and SRMs. If you say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I will take that. It might be the only mech that he has that you can salvage that fits that definition on the Homeworld General list between those points, because everyone needs at least one. But you can say, yeah, I'll take that. And then in week 2, you've got your original 3 plus this Thug. And you can rearrange the pilot skills as you need so that it's, not detrimental to have a different mech come in that you may not be expecting. But rearrange your pilot skills and you have this add-on mech for the next week.
Yeah, if you want, I can pull up Mega Mech and show you an example list.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, there we go.
The Drift Shag, man. See, this is what I love about this era.
All right, so this is my list that I'm planning on bringing, and just to make sure that I have at least one mech that qualifies, 4/5, it's 1100 battle value. So the Locust 2C, and I do believe the Locust 1VB, which is the Royal variant, will both qualify. Up 642. Is that just over the threshold? Nope, just under. So the only mech that anybody will be able to get off of me is that Locust 2C, because unfortunately the Drift Shag is not Homeworld General.
And the reason for that point value difference is that way, if somebody does get a mech that they're not expecting, it at least has a certain level of utility, and they don't have to raise the pilot skill to 1/1 immediately, nor do they have to drop it down to 6/6, just because they can't fit it in their list. So I wanted to make sure that whatever they picked wasn't just going to be a flat-out turkey. I'm not saying the Locust 1VB is a turkey, but between those two, they might want a Locust 2C instead.
Hey man, that Locust 1VB is no joke. It's got 2 medium pulse lasers, a regular medium laser, and 2 small pulse lasers.
I bet we're going to see a lot of pulse lasers with these clan lists.
True, there are some of these early clan mechs that do have clan pulse lasers. So the 10 damage clan pulse laser that can reach out halfway across the map is going to be a credible threat right now on some of these mechs.
Correct. And when you play somebody in week 3, you should have your one salvage mech from your original list and the one you pinched off someone in week 2. And when you finish the week 3 match before you get to week 4, and I know that sounds very complicated, you can either take one of the 2 options that your opponent now has, or you can straight up just trade the mech that you took. Like, hey, they gave me this Locust 2C. I don't like it. I want to get that Atlas that he's got and that Night Chanter. You can trade it and take the 2 mechs that they have salvageable from them. And some people might have more than one in their list. I've got at least 2 players who've said, I'm taking all Homeworld General so I can be pretty dynamic and, give people options. So I really love that about the community. They're already thinking about what is the other player going to get after the match, rather than I'm going to take the Uber death ball.
Nope, you're getting a Locust 2C from me, sucker.
So another component of this, which is a little different than the tournament styles we've been doing, is because there's not a tournament bracket, we can have fun with this. So week 1 just happens to be July 1st is when it starts, and for everybody who celebrates in the United States, that's a holiday week. So a lot of people are going to be traveling. A lot of people might be busy with family, lighting fireworks and seeing massive explosions, among other, barbecue related activities. So I wanted to keep it open. Basically, I wanted to say, week 1, everybody can play whatever they want as long as it's within a couple little guidelines with the list building. And you don't even have to turn in a list in advance. Just make sure it's compliant so I don't have to throw your scores out for MRC ranking. But week 1, you just straight up make a list and practice. I want people to practice their list before they get locked into 3 more games so they can try it out against someone and go, man, I did not like this Spirit Walker. It had the most bad A name ever, but that was a mistake.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that week 1, everybody can try things out, in a relatively safe environment, and then play as many games as they like. And then at the end of the week, that's when they'll declare their clan. That's when they'll declare their list for week 2. And I will take the average score for all the games that they turned in during the week, average that, and that'll be their week 1 score for the player, then average those into the other players in the invasion group, and that's how I'll get the week 1 score. So if you try 2 lists and they're just ridiculously awful, and then you find one that you're like, oh man, this one just floored my opponent and it was fun to play, it'll make up for some of those losses. So week 1's probably going to be real chaotic, but it is a safe spot to experiment in.
Yeah, that's great. So that people that have more time to devote don't get a leg up on other players that can only get 1 game in for that week, which is something that I do enjoy. That, and there's really not much to lose because the scores are going to be averaged out anyway. So play as many people as you can. Let's say you get stomped 1 game, you might stomp your opponent the next game and make up for it. So it'll all average out in the end.
Correct, because can you imagine if you submitted a list and you're like, yeah, we're going to go with... I don't know why I want to bash on the Sentinel, but I just do. I want to take a dual Sentinel Thorn list, and you know what? Oh my gosh, it's awful. And now I'm stuck with this after playing it once, and I've got 3 more games I got to play with this thing that I don't want to play with. I don't want to put that on anybody.
Yeah, and realistically, even for the teams, there's no reason not to play other people who you may end up on the same team with, because, every game's going to get averaged out.
Correct. And that's what I really love about kind of being an accidental bonus. The first week I was like, I'm going to just keep it open so that anybody who can get a game in doesn't feel pressured to get it in on a certain time. We've seen some other things like Sam with the pods in Tukid Heat, and Vapor with the stables for Solaris, where you can kind of schedule extra weeks in advance. Couldn't really do that with the way I did the salvage mechs here, and I also wanted to kind of pace it a little bit. But the first week, yeah, everybody just go nuts, get lots of games in, turn those games in, and get your combat scores going up on the MRC in the background. That's just an extra bonus at that point.
Yeah, so that's week 1. Week 1 is play to your heart's content, as much or as little as you want, and use as many different lists as you feel like. If you want to play 10 games using the same list, by all means, go for it.
And even better, week 1, there's no set objective or map, so you can kind of play whatever you want to, as long as there's an MRC standard, like a winner of the objective, and you're counting your kills. And I've given a few suggestions in there, which I won't cover, but something like skirmish, crush the head, or capture the flag for any brave souls that want to do that.
I will be picking that one every time I possibly can.
It's definitely unique, but it is not for the faint of heart because we can barely literally read anyway. But choose whatever, just send it in and get lots of crazy games in. This is the trial of grievance week, so the whole point is I want to see Bachal's out the wazoo. He looked at me funny, or his paint scheme is pain to my eyes, so I must destroy his mech now. Whatever it is that you need to, go Bachal, everybody. Have some fun RP in it as well. And
or I want revenge for losing against you in Tukey Heat or something like that. Now is the time to strike.
Also, secretly, it does two things as well. One is it gives me an idea of who's playing each other, so when it comes to matchmaking, I can get people in similar times of playing to play against each other. Not that I want the same people playing each other over and over and over, but if I see that, this player got like 5 games in against these 3 players, maybe I'll match one of them up. If there's no other circumstance, so at least I know that they have the time to play against each other, rather than, well, I work the night shift, well, I work the day shift. I don't want that to be too much of an issue.
No, yeah, completely understandable. Being able to schedule your game with your opponent is huge, and I'm sure there will be stipulations and in case something can't be scheduled or whatever, like we always have. We try to be as accommodating as possible when it comes to people's schedules and getting games in.
Correct. And if somebody just straight up can't get a game in with their opponent, let me know. I should be able to find someone that's willing to swap. Worst case scenario, I'm going to have a list pre-built so I can jump in as well and be the NPC to fight against something.
Gotcha. No, it's always good. And if you need any help or need another stand-in to take up a match that someone couldn't make it to, by all means, I'm sure there's plenty of people that will be willing to volunteer to play more games.
Yep. So the other thing is, at the end of week 1, when all the lists are submitted, those lists are going to be public. So, as soon as people lock in their lists, I'm going to be posting them along with which clan they're representing. The idea there is when we get to week 2, you've got taking from the grudge matches from Vapor's tournament, you've got an opportunity to try to bachal somebody, and if they accept, guess who your week 2 opponent's going to be.
Yeah, that way you can target a mech that you may want to add to your list that you got there. So you're like, hey, I got 3 light mechs in my list. I want some chunk. I'm going to target somebody who's got 3 heavies or 3 assaults. That way I can balance out the list at least a little teeny tiny bit.
Exactly. So there's there's some usual restrictions we have at MRCs, such as you can only have 2 of the same chassis. In this circumstance, you're going to be able to go past those limits, because if you salvage somebody who has, say you have 2 Mongoose, you can have 2 Mongoose 66 or a Mongoose 66 and a Mongoose 66B. I like light mech, so I just happen to know that one. And I know that I think they're both on the Homeworld General. If not, they're at least in the Mongoose MUL. Anyway, so say you've got 2 Mongoose 66s already, and you go, you know what? I just want another one. I really like the mech. I want another. You can bachal somebody, and if they accept, and they happen to have a salvageable Mongoose in their list, guess what? You've now got 3 Mongoose 66s.
So any games you play using those 3 Mongooses, I don't think will count for MRC score, but they will count for the tournament for honor scoring.
This is where I'll use tournament organizer can modify certain things, such as limiting chassis. So we'll clear that with high command to make sure that counts.
We get a special all access pass just for the tournament.
Exactly.
All
so
right. Well,
it's a little different than standard, but we can make sure that everybody gets their games counted, because that's important to me, to make sure that everybody understands MRC and gets games in and sees their scores and actually just gets on the board. I think once you get on the board, it's kind of an enticing thing to go, yeah, my number's at 1040. What if it could be 10140? It's nice to see it go up.
or 1140, which would be, I mean, we're aiming for like 1040. That's like super mega elite at that point.
Correct. So then you're able to salvage mechs like that. Additionally, we've got multiple, servers to play on here. So, at this point, we've got, 4 servers that basically you could use. So you don't have to feel like, well, how do I set up a Mega Mech game? How do I download Mega Mech? How do I play with people? Just ask in the Discord. The link's at the very top of the page, but ask in the Discord. We got plenty of servers for you to use.
Oh yeah, that. And if you need any help setting Mega Mech up, I know I've helped a few people, and there's plenty of people that are willing to help you at almost any given point during the day. If not, eventually someone will be free and able to help you set Mega Mech up. It's been very accommodating for a lot of newer players to get them up and running to get games in as soon as possible.
Speaking of the games, so we just got done with Solaris Summer, which used the NFL variant to make it more Mega Mech friendly. NFL standing, of course, for the neurofeedback loop. And there's several additional rules on top of MRC standard that get used. For example, you're able to do more damage for hitting a mech. They have a higher chance of falling over from a PSR. You are able to, I play them so much, all of a sudden it's like, just disappeared from me. Front-loaded initiative, for example, that'll be used. And force withdrawal, because Mega Mech has no oops button, I don't want games being declared invalid immediately. So once you're crippled, okay, you can't score objectives, and also you're pretty much going to explode anyway, and you're half points for MRC scoring, but you don't have to return towards your home edge, which is a standard MRC rule. You can continue battling. If you want to, maybe you should just eject at that point. And also the BV finishing the game at under 20%. So there's a few NFL things that, all the NFL things we'll be playing. And just for anybody starting with MRC, that's different than 2Kid Heat, where we went the opposite direction by removing a bunch of those optional rules so that it was more Battle Mech Manual friendly. So we'll be using the NFL rule packet for this.
Yeah, so there might be some more advanced rules. I don't think... Wait, is the stack pulling rule on?
Oh, stack pulling's absolutely on. I certainly hope there's a lot of stack pulling that happens too.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's kind of hard. You kind of have to core a mech, which, I'm sure will happen quite a bit, especially with 3 light mechs running around with 20 armor between them.
So, but yeah, no, still stack pulling will be on, and I'm hopeful that there will be a lot of good games coming out of this. I do like the NFL variant of the rules for playing Mega Mech because it does all the calculations for you. So I'm excited to see this get played.
Yeah, so one thing to note, I mean, we haven't mentioned it yet, but should be fairly obvious. It's battle mechs and omni mechs only, no vehicles, no battle armor, just mechs.
Correct. So, these are mech warriors preparing for the invasions, and they're going up against other mechs. So, if there ever is a part 2, if I don't keel myself over after this and there's enough interest, maybe we'll expand it to, the actual invasion to have defenders of the planets who are using combined arms, probably going off like the Capellan list or something from the early Succession Wars. But for now, yeah, we're going to be going just mechs only.
Yeah, there's some other little things to note in here. Pilots got to be within 2, so no 1.5s or 6.3s or whatever.
Yeah, I'm the best gunnery pilot ever, but I can't drive for S. Yeah, no, we don't want to see that.
There's going to be some alternative ammo allowed for autocannons, LBX cluster, and Ultra. No precision ammo for your autocannons because it did not exist yet, apparently. Inferno SRMs are fair game. Swarm and Thunder LRMs exist, but they're not fair game because they're Desgret. You shouldn't be using Swarm or Thunder LRMs if you're a true clan warrior.
Exactly.
So, has Arrow 4 and is allowed? Oh, so Arrow 4 artillery is allowed though, but you can only use standard Arrow 4 munitions.
Correct. And the main reason for that is one, homing is something that is definitely a challenge to put in a group setting where people may not have played against homing before, but the Naga exists. And, unless we don't really play artillery that much. So if somebody just pulls in like 2 Nagas with 1/1 pilots and just goes and absolutely wrecks the crap out of everybody, there might suddenly be an ammo shortage, and before week 2 starts, no Nagas. But we'll see. I want to keep the field open. The Nagas are assaults, so you're almost certainly going to have to take 2 assault mechs, or get some penalties before you even start the game. But the Naga exists, and I want it to be a complete experience. But at the same time, we just don't have enough experience with it, so we need to try out some of this stuff like artillery on the Naga. And it's a clan mech with artillery. It's a little pricey, but I want to leave it as an option. But again, we might mysteriously run out of ammo if it becomes a problem.
Completely understandable. Don't want artillery ruining your trial of grievance or whatever. Besides,
Correct.
I mean, real men fight with lasers, machine guns, autocannons, and missiles, not artillery. Come on now.
Correct, but maybe
I'm sorry.
maybe the tournament organizer has a special place for the Naga in his heart and really wants that pop.
I should say real clan warriors. You can be, men or women, by the way.
Absolutely. Or you could be a mongoose mech warrior who, is just sneaky and probably doing stuff they're not supposed to with the mechs, and indirect fire. But anyway.
Or you could be a raccoon trapped in the cockpit, taped to the joystick.
Yeah.
Of a Naga.
Oh yeah, that's a Twilight Heat reference for those that understand it. But,
all right, so we've already talked about week 1 a good bit. The mission for week 1 is basically whatever you want. It's going to be either stand up fight, or capture the flag, or crush the head, whatever you and your opponent agree on.
Correct.
And we're going to be using pre-generated maps, so 32 by 17 pre-gens, Battle of Tukid map sheets, just to keep it a little interesting. Deployment zone or cancel match. What? Oh, if no agreement can be found, you are to use deployment zone or cancel the match.
So, because I have it open-ended, you can use the randomly generated NFL maps, or you can use some of the pre-generated ones, such as the Battle of the Tukid map sheets, or you can pick just 2 random 16 by 17 map sheets, slap them together. I wanted to make sure it's open, but worst case scenario, let's say that we're playing each other, we're scheduling a match, and you're like, hey, I want to use this crazy nutter of a map. And I go, man, I don't like those. Let's just randomly generate one so it's fair. And you say, but I've been stiffed on those. We can't come to an agreement here. If you can't, here's a suggestion for one so you have a basis for something, which is a fairly neutral map. There's nothing egregious about it. So I felt like this was a good, if no other conclusion can be reached, try this one. Or if you really can't pick a way to play each other, you're probably not going to have a good game anyway. Maybe you should just cancel that. But for week 1, here's the tiebreaker if no one can come to an opinion map suggestion.
Gotcha. And we're looking at it right now, the Tukid deployment zone map. Yep, there it is. So there's 2 different versions. There's this one, and then there's the clear version.
Don't actually know what the clear version is, other than it doesn't have a bunch of rubble in the middle. It's not even rubble. I think it's just pockmarked textures.
Oh, that might be what it is. Oh, okay. Because it gets rid of those little, I guess, landing spots for dropships. I'm not sure what they are. But that's the only difference.
Yep. And one thing to note is this is in your Mega Mech as Battle of Tukid. Oh, pull it back up. Pull it back up.
Oh, there we go.
So this is in your Mega Mech as Battle of Tukid deployment zone. But if you scroll further down, one of these, I think it might be Diamond Shark. One of those unofficials. Maybe it's landing zone. Try that one. Yeah, you'll notice this is literally exactly the same map. So I think that maybe one was like an official one that came later, or was added later with permission. So these are essentially the same map. But if your Mega Mech doesn't have the Battle of Tukey map packs, definitely recommend you go get them by downloading the latest version of Mega Mech. It should have them. I downloaded Mech HQ. Maybe it's got more stuff, but this is the same map essentially.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same. I don't see any differences, really.
You know how confusing that was to try to figure out, wait, I thought it was called this. I've mixed up my maps, and I change it, and then later I go back to check my work and I go, I've confused it again. They're literally the same map. Like Diamond Shark there, that's that Ponzu Valley. And I think Smoke Jag, yeah, that's another one that's actually an official map now.
Oh yeah, there's that River Delta or whatever it is. Ugh, that map looks like
that
a pain in the
one's-
ass.
I don't want to play that one in person, but I know that it's available in the map pool at NashCon probably. So,
Ooh, what's Devil's Bath look like?
Devil's Bath, that's a bunch of like level 7 columns there. So you remember the original MechWarrior 2 opening scene where you've got the Mad Cat that's walking and among the high cliffs and the columns everywhere? That's that map.
Oh, beautiful. We can reenact, nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not, something that I don't know, what was I, like 8 when MechWarrior 2, 7? Yeah, I was probably 7 playing that and watching those opening scenes. That definitely was age appropriate.
Okay, all right, so that's for week 1. Week 2 is going to be a stand-up fight, and this will be using our locked-in list of 3 mechs, correct?
Correct. So week 2 is the actual first week you even use a list that's been sent in and approved. But essentially it's trial of position. We want to, there's not actually a position available, but you and your 2 star mates, you're going up against the opponent and stand-up fight. Pretty simple. Try to destroy the enemy, and essentially whoever destroys the most enemies, they're going to get the bonus 10 objective points. So you'll have your list bonus, you'll have the +2 for every kill and +1 for every cripple you get, and then you'll also, whoever destroys the most is going to get 10 extra bonus points for the event.
So this is just a straight up stand-up fight, and we have a limited map pool here. It's going to be from the Tukey map pack: Cozy's Valley, Rasis River Delta, Pozorius Mountains, close enough, and Deployment
we won't
Zone.
try to pronounce that. So those were fairly benign maps. So you roll for Deployment Edge. The loser is actually going to pick the map, and then the winner picks deployment. That way, it's still 50-50 random. The winner always picks Deployment Edge, is why I didn't want to confuse it too much. But the loser at least picks the map, so that they have some sort of investment into it. But also, these are fairly neutral maps. There's not one that's just like absolutely dominating, so it should be a good a good variation. And I think when you're bidding, if I was to declare a challenge against you, I think you reserve the right to declare where. So I was trying to incorporate some of those bidding elements in there.
That's a nice touch. I like that. That is true. I do think that whoever is the challenged gets to choose the field of battle. So it's right on point for clan warfare right there.
Yep, I know my name's Pirate, but man, love me some clan action.
All right, so that is pretty straightforward for week 2. Week 3, on the other hand, is a little more interesting.
Correct. So let's pull up this map in Megamech, the 30x17 map size, one called the Atoll. One thing I really appreciated from March Mechness was the mission Get to the Choppas, where it was just this mad helicopter flight in the sky, even though some of us may have cheesed it during playtesting. Sorry, Vapor. But I really appreciated that it was something new. Like, it wasn't just everybody plays the same mission. Twilight Heat was fun, but I got kind of tired of Crush the Head after the 4th time. So I really appreciated Get to the Choppas. And in Tukey Heat, I really appreciated the probe mission. It was something new and interesting that I had to figure out.
Okay. So this is the map. I've got it pulled up to full screen here.
Correct. So it's an atoll. There's a lot of water. I wanted to incorporate some environmental elements. In this case, water. Not the entire thing is underwater. There is a lot of level 0 depth on this map. And of course, there's land. But essentially, what this is simulating, because it's a narrative event, that you're doing a trial of possession here. There is, a planet that is it's not completely occupied by you or your opponent's clan, and you're trying to divert the water from this aquifer to your clan's territory instead of the opponent. In the middle of this map here, there's a cluster of depth 4 water, and essentially this is King of the Hill, but in reverse. So on one specific hex, and because it's on a pre-generated map, we actually know which hex it is. But on that middle hex in the depth 4 water is the hill, and you have to control that in order to get points towards your objective.
Yeah, it's more like Lord of the Pit instead of King of the Hill.
You know what? I'm okay with that. You know, that actually may end up being the name of the missions shortly. So
you're welcome.
So in BTCC, there was one mission where you had to destroy some buildings, but you had to get onto the building, and then you got a pip on it for every turn that you controlled it, and then after so many pips, you would destroy it, and the defender has to try to defend it. I don't really like defender attacker missions so much in, a competitive setting. So I wanted to make sure that all the missions are neutral. Each player is playing by the same set of rules. But in this case, there is a lock or an override device in the middle of the map there. If you get a mech on it, let me back that up. If you that override device is currently set at 0, and your goal is to move it 3 pips in the direction of your settlement. So if you get a mech on it, you get 1 pip towards your settlement. But if the enemy kicks you off, whatever reason, pushes you, charges you underwater, doesn't matter, destroys you and then gets on it, then at the end of the heat phase, they get a pip to push it backwards towards their settlement, and it's kind of a back and forth seesaw until one person can get it 3 times in a row in their direction, unless they needed to go more because the enemy got a head start.
Gotcha. So it's more like a King of the Hill tug of war kind of thing, where the longer you control it, up to 3 turns in a row, and then the game ends after you have a +3 bonus, right?
Correct. So, there's no point playing till everybody's dead. As soon as you can override the lock and get the water diverted, it's considered locked. And, clanners being clanners, they're not going to go, man, you won this trial by possessing that area, but I'm still going to shoot you anyway. They generally are going to say, all right, you beat us in the trial.
Gotcha. Which is a nice, interesting take. So you can either focus completely on the objective, or you can go to try and kill your opponent, which will give you even more honor, including completing the objective if you can do both. One thing to note about underwater warfare is that a lot of weapons just straight up don't work. I don't think autocannons or missiles of any kind work underwater. It's only lasers, and they're extremely reduced range to an extent, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's half or a third or something, and I don't know if damage is impacted either, but there's definitely penalties, and also penalties to moving, and I think you're taking PSRs as well, just for being in the water in the first place.
Yeah, so if you're one of those players who's taken 3 assault mechs or 3 heavy mechs, and your piloting skills aren't going to be up to snuff, you may want to look into getting 2-3 light mech in there just to make it down into that water in a jiffy.
Not only that, but say you do have somebody who does squirrel it and just zoom straight to the objective, that's great, but that other assault mech or heavy mech, because there's a lot of good choices in this era, that's able to get in the water with ERPPCs, they're going to hit you, and you're not going to have a very big TMM standing on that objective because it's the hex itself with no cover down there. But it's underwater, which means you're going to be taking hold checks. I think if it's not every hit, it's at least when it goes internal, it floods if you don't have hard gel. And I don't even think there's hard gel here.
No, hard gel doesn't exist yet, at least not for mechs. It's mainly an aerospace fighter thing, if I remember correctly, historically. But yeah, your movement is going to be severely limited at depth 4, which means you're going to have little to no TMM even on your light mech. And a heavy or assault mech may be able to move 1 hex per turn. I don't even know if an assault that's 2-3 can even maneuver underwater once it gets to a certain point.
I think it can always move 1. Like there's something about you can always move 1, because I had a Turkina that fell once and I was able to move it from depth 3. But
okay, well that's good. That's the saving grace then for those assault mechs.
Correct, but you know what? You're right. You do need to think about your list when you get that in there. Do I really want to take the biggest, baddest thing on the block, and then I can't even do the objective?
Exactly. So you may be giving up this map for your team if you can't score with a heavy or assault list, which is okay. I mean, building lists is a trade-off. So you might win the first round, but you might have a hard time on this one.
Correct. But, you know, we've talked about doing underwater matches for a while, and the problem is the limited playtesting against Princess I did, underwater matches do kind of suck. So this is a way to dip our toes into this. That wasn't pun intended, but I'm going to go with it. And get a little underwater experience, and then we can all say we don't want to do that again.
Oh yeah, but it'll be definitely interesting for that match. That may be over quick, or it may be a waterlogged slog, especially if you have no weapons that can fire underwater, which it definitely could be the case.
Yeah, and I would be you know, giddy if there was tactical situations like some of the mechs are on top of the atolls still above water, you know, skirmishing there, and then there's some other like mini battle going on underneath the water just trying to get to the objective. You know, jump jets, I think you can jump and then like fall and hopefully not explode underwater to try to get to the objectives. All sorts of craziness that could happen. It's so different than all the other maps we usually play. I hope that chaotic random element comes into play somewhere.
Yeah, I look forward to this match. I'm probably going to get annihilated because I've got a bunch of light mechs, and not having a TMM is utter death for a light mech, but it'll be fun to try to get there before a heavier list can make it to the objective, and see if I can at least get a +1 going my way before I get wiped off the map.
Speaking of getting wiped off the map, week 4 is going to be a very, very short match. So
How so, Pirate?
Well, so here's the setting. In reviewing the lore for Klondike, it appears that there's several instances where the clans decided to have a friendly competition with each other to see who could go beat up some militias and tanks the fastest or subjugate continents. So rather than just have, okay, I've got the Trial of Grievance for everybody but chawing the crap out of each other because somebody looked at them funny. You got the Trial of Position, which we all know. We've also got the Trial of Possession, which is a very common clan event. So here we've got a contest. There are so many contests in clan lore. I wanted to reference that here by fighting over the remains of a spaceport on a moon, which is in a vacuum.
All right, so do you want to pull up this particular map, or just want to go over the special rules that are going to be in effect?
We can pull it up. So it's the 32 by 33 spaceport east, which has been damaged. Because it kind of sets the scene here. It's basically a burnt out spaceport, even though there's no fires in a vacuum. And what I wanted to... Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was 32 by what?
32 by 33 or 34? I'm sorry, hold on one second.
Oh, spaceport damaged left. Spaceport southeast damaged. Okay. All right, so we've got the map. Got the map pulled up. Let's take a little gander at it.
So this one here, you know, in a vacuum. So some of these fires, maybe those are localized under a hab shelter. Maybe you've got some greenhouses why there's still trees for lore reasons, but it is a map that I felt was suitable for double blind without being a complete chaotic city cluster. So there's a lot more open line of sights here. But at this point, by the event, you're going to have 5 Succession Wars era mechs. Those usually are much longer games, and I wanted to incorporate double blind because it's been fun. And those are also longer games. Didn't want to just have everybody playing, 5 hours and only getting 1 kill. So we're playing in a vacuum, which means that every time you get hit, you're taking a hull check.
Yeah, so that's really deadly. You could get hit in any torso once, and then the mech is instantly spaced and done.
Correct. Well, and it destroys that section.
Well, depending on the engine. Like if you have a XL inner sphere engine and you get nailed in the left and right torso, you're just out.
Right. So this is going to be one of those matches where it's going to be high anxiety, and that was by intent. You're also going to have gravity at 0.6, which means that a 3.5 Atlas now runs, I think, 5.8. You can only imagine what a Locust is going to be running at that point if it has almost double movement speed.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that they would be moving that quick. So not only are you going to be speed racering around this map, there is plenty of asphalt / pavement for you to skid around on and accidentally blow your mech up by sliding into a building.
Correct. So this will be one of those where you're going to have to pilot carefully, but also once you find an enemy, you're shooting at each other, somebody's going to go down. This is going to be the slugfest of 2 Atlases just blowing each other's brains out over several turns. It's very possible that one person's going to unload an LBX-10 and one of those BBs is going to puncture somewhere on the center torso. Fail a hull check, you do get a check, it's not instant. Fail a hull check and that Atlas is gone. So going to be very interesting to see how this plays out in a vacuum.
Yeah, but if the armor is stripped, I do believe it's an automatic destruction for that particular.
Correct.
So once you're out of armor, that's it. That location.
Yep. So that leg that got kicked, well, it has no armor now. Boom, the leg's gone. Or that arm that got unfortunately hit. Well, it didn't have much armor anyway. It's gone. So you imagine a light mech that gets pegged on a torso. Yeah, it's going to go fast.
Yeah. So this match should be very fast and furious and over pretty quick.
Yep, and that keeps us from having the last match that is part of the event stretching on for too long. In playtesting, not necessarily the map or double blind, but just in playtesting, normal 10K list against each other, like the match was like 30 minutes. It was longer to set up the match than it was actually play it.
Yeah, so just be prepared for week 4 to be interesting and possibly over very, very quickly.
Yep, and everything is averaged, but at the same time, this isn't the who is the best. It's narrative. So if everybody came away with some memories of, oh my gosh, remember that? Yeah, that was a gigantic kerfuffle. Hopefully we can walk away with some shared trauma.
Oh yeah, and that's the best thing to bond over, realistically, is shared trauma.
Exactly. And also the points on this last one. So it's going to be another stand-up fight, but I didn't want to just do, we're going to do another stand-up fight. So somebody called somebody something in the kitchen, and this is going to be where, my mech warriors can get more kills than your mech warriors. So I wanted to make it where the goal to kind of put a twist on stand-up fight was something. And in this case, it's going to be each of your mechs needs to make a kill. And it's in a vacuum, so hopefully it will be over fast. But If your Atlas shoots that archer and destroys it, hey, the Atlas got a kill. It gets 5 points for the first kill or engine kill that it got. Each subsequent kill, okay, it's only going to be for the 2 standard tournament. But the first kill that each mech makes is worth 5. Hopefully this gives some tactical considerations of, man, maybe I shouldn't overkill that one. This guy over here, he hasn't got a kill yet. I want to make him be the one to actually finish off that mech. I want to see some considerations in play.
Yeah, so if you can kill all 5 of your opponent's mechs, 1 each with each of your 5 mechs at this point, you could walk away with a whopping 25 objective points.
Correct. Now, just remember that you're walking away with those objective points, but at the end of it, it's a binary thing. You either win 10 honor points or you don't. So if you walk away with 25 objective points, that's fantastic. Your opponent probably can't get anywhere near that. But you're still capped at the 10 objective points for the MRC scoring and also for the event scoring.
Yeah, in the words of Gimli, that still only counts as 1.
Yeah, exactly. But bragging rights for you. And man, what is the most clan, Jade Falcon, or Ice Hellion thing you can do besides overkill and then brag about it in the bunker later,
So for this event, I expect to see a lot of Batrals being thrown around back and forth, and a lot of people being called Desgra for ganging up on opponents' mechs and the like. There better be a lot of clanner speed going on, or we're gonna have a Batraling to do for any of you Intersphere folk. We don't get into the clanner spirit.
Yeah, watch your contractions, or you know what? That's just as good a reason to Batral.
How dare you say can't? Cannot say can't. That is a Batral.
Yeah, I gotta, I even had to try to look up, are contractions for possession, is that a contraction? To use possession? We'll see.
I think that's a technicality. I think we might be all right.
Yeah, comment down below. Give this a like and subscribe. Tell us what you think on, is a possession a contraction or not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the last one, and I tried to call it out extremely clearly. Stuff going to blow, so just be prepared for that. Mentally be prepared for that.
Yeah, I will read this one particular section because we don't normally do this here. I'm breaking the rules. It says, to note, this match has both vacuum and low gravity. Things will be destroyed very fast, and they will move very fast. So you have been forewarned, and forewarned is being forearmed.
Correct.
And as we all know, being forearmed is ammunition, and ammunition is information.
And ammunition is information, and forearms makes you a Sirocco pilot.
God, I butchered that so beautifully. You're welcome, everybody. All right, is there anything else you want to talk about for Operation Klondike? Anything we may have missed? Anything near and dear to your heart about this particular event that you want to get off your chest?
So you don't need any prior experience with MRC, with Megamech. It'd probably be helpful to at least have some Battletech experience, but you know what? That first week, there's going to be so many people looking to get games in, and so many people just in the community in general willing to help you understand how to set up a game and do it. You can probably find somebody who will be like, hey, take you under my wing because I'm one of the bird clans, and we'll show you how to do this. So no prior experience needed. Definitely, jump in, and the first week is a safe place where if you get in and after, 2 or 3 practice matches, even just one, you're like, yeah, this wasn't for me. I'm gonna, pop off here. It is a low pressure week. I would rather people step in and try it, decide it's not for them, than to be afraid to jump in. Like, I'd rather you jump in and then skedaddle the first week than not jump in at all.
Yeah, definitely. Getting games in is always better than not getting a game in. And this is the perfect opportunity for someone looking to get their feet wet and maybe try playing competitive if they want to, or maybe try running a silly list like I am with 3 light mechs and seeing how well you can do. Challenge yourself or step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yep, and do explore the master unit list. So we're so used to Clan Invasion, Civil War, even Ill Clan now, and then all those ones in the middle, which we skip, which is why the NFL is progressing one era a quarter. We'll be stepping into Dark Age starting July 1st. So I wanted to bring us back to a bunch of MULs people have never even looked at, or if they did, they never looked into. So just have fun looking at those. Some of those mechs, I've never heard of them, so they're just fun, if nothing else, to check out.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting era with a lot of, there's clan tech mixed in with inner sphere tech, mixed in with lost tech. So you'll have Gauss rifles next to clan pulse lasers, next to regular inner sphere medium lasers. It's got the gamut of weapons.
Well, and there's I had improved SRMs and XL large lasers or something. I was like, I don't even know what these weapons do, but I'm gonna go fire them.
That's the best way to figure out how they work, is to shoot them at something.
But yeah, so the overall guiding theme for this is, a low pressure event for individuals. Definitely jump in. Love to see you, love to have you, love to welcome you to the MRC style of play, and make this just a fun community event rather than a dedicated winner of the event comes through. Not that we're too hard on that, but just want everybody to get more games in a unique era with some conditions that we don't normally play, so that we can all have a good old time in July ahead of further events later this year.
Yeah, that, and you might end up performing terribly, like I expect to with my 3-1-1 light list. But you can always root for somebody else on your team, even if you're doing not so well. So there's a chance you guys can make up points, and it's a team effort. So, I mean, yeah, I'll be sandbagging for my team, but I know it. I expect the rest of my team to carry me to victory.
Yeah, I'm hoping that some of the riffraff talking and that sub Discord channel kind of bleeds in to other areas. But you take a list and you're like, this will probably be bad. Do you know the amount of times that people take lists as jokes because they're funny and then they turn into monsters? So there's a good chance those ace pilots are going to shine through, or maybe they fail spectacularly. We won't know until you try them out week 1.
Hey, all I know is that even if I roll snake eyes, I'll make a regular piloting check, which is what I need for my pilots.
Exactly. But yeah, no, come on in. Love to have you. And without droning on too much about how much I love the MRC, thank you, Carbon and Warning, for putting it together. Thank you, Sam, for stepping in and joining Command, because it's a lot of work up there. Thank you, Vapor, and everybody else for getting it to where I felt comfortable putting in an era. Sometimes they say, hey, make events that you would want to play in. You want to play in this one. I don't want somebody to be in a point where they can't schedule a game, but if there's an uneven number of players, I wouldn't be too sad.
Hey, if you build it, they will come. And So far, there's been a lot of people building stuff, so hopefully we get even more people to come and play.
Yep. So I'll be putting up a sign-up sheet soon, just so people can start seeing who's participating, what clan they're in, and what mechs they may be taking. But until the end of week 1, it's still open play. Then give me those lists, and we'll start playing week 2. But you have till the end of week 1 to actually lock in your list.
Oh, you can lock me in right now for Clan Goliath Scorpion. I'm not changing.
I bet.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'd also like to make another little announcement. The channel's been doing all right. We're up to 50-something subscribers. And to celebrate it, I'd like to do a giveaway for the first time. One of those little Target starter boxes that I showed earlier, I'm putting up for grabs. You got to comment on these videos so that way you can get an entry into it. But for every video that we release now, from now on up until we hit 100 subscribers, I'll be tallying everybody who comments only once per video, so no spam commenting, even as great as it would probably be for the algorithm. Don't do that. But I'll be giving away one of those, and I will ship it to you wherever you are, even if it costs me more than I spent on the actual box to ship it to you. So if and when we hit 100 subscribers, some lucky person will be looking forward to a Target starter set. Maybe somebody who doesn't have access to a Target can win it, and if you already have one, you can pass it down to somebody else if you don't want it or don't need it. So everybody's got that to look forward to.
That's awesome.
Figured do a little giving back to the community. All right. Do you have anything else for it, or are we gonna go ahead and call it for the night, Pirate?
Do you know how much I like hearing the sound of my own voice? That kind of a question is just going to lead to an endless trail of me going on about something like, you know what? Let's talk about how kicking is better than punching, except when punching is better than kicking.
Oh no, we will be making more videos discussing exactly that in the near future. So everybody stay tuned. We're going to be creating more content, hopefully more different content, not just match reviews, which I know you all know and love to watch us or listen to us drone on for 2.5 to 3 hours talking about a match that was played 2 weeks ago. I know I love it, but I'm crazy, so don't worry about it. But I think we're going to be signing off after this. So good night, everybody.
Adios.
Mm-hmm.